Soon may the wellerman come, bring us coffee, tea, and rum. One day the tonguing is done, take our leave and go. At a fair in the sun of town, her hair was blonde and her dress was brown. Soon may the wellerman come around. After spending a full day preparing my home-built sail and oar skiff and loading her out with provisions, my voyage on the Cumberland begins. Sadly, in the process of getting the boat ready, I discovered some bad news. For some time, she's had a small but persistent leak that I've been unable to locate. Well, in the process of getting the boat ready, I found the source. Turns out she has the dreaded rot. At the joint of the topside planking and the bottom planking, otherwise known as the chine, water ingress into the plywood end grain has resulted in a soft spot that has ultimately devolved into this small hole. This little bit of rot is not the end of the world, but I will have to spend some time researching the proper way to repair it, and I imagine it involves epoxy and fiberglass, not my favorite materials to work with. But it's true, those materials could have prevented this issue in the first place. So yeah, there is a hole in my boat, but I'm going sailing today. It's nothing a little mud from the riverbank packed in there can't fix. Just kidding, I actually used shower and bath silicone caulk, which will plug up the leak nicely and also should be easy to remove when it's time to do the repair for real. Remember, don't do what I do. It's early on the first day of the overnight jaunt in my 15-foot home-built sailing skiff, and I'm bound for my first stop on a series of island explorations near the Cumberland River channel. Running with the north wind, I plan to land on multiple islands, as many as possible in the 2 days allotted, exploring each one on foot and even camping on one island. But the first stop is a small dry shoal, Honker Shoal, and it's upwind of the launch, so I will have to cover a couple of kilometers using the oars. Looking at all this water out on the big river, you could easily imagine that a boat could travel anywhere you can see water. But that assumption has got many boaters in trouble before, including myself. There are many treacherous, shallow flats that are especially dangerous in the autumn and winter months when the water is much lower. Outside of the marked creek channels and the main Cumberland Channel, there are many shallow areas of only a foot deep or less, and yes, you can hit the bottom, but that's not the worst thing you can do. The inundated river bottoms outside the channel were originally farmland and woods, and there are many patches of flooded timber that were not cut prior to the creation of the reservoir. To this day, there's still a lot of dead wood and stumps in the river that present a big hazard for collision in shallow areas. Not only that, there are submerged highways and even house foundations and various buildings underwater. Now, none of this is such a big deal, of course, when I'm just rowing, but when I begin sailing, I'm gonna have to be vigilant, looking for obstacles, and some of them can actually be seen, but many of them are hidden, of course. It is a little bit of a gamble, and I'm taking somewhat of a risk, especially this time of year. I would have had some difficulty spotting Honker Shoal with the naked eye, but using binoculars from the mouth of the bay where I launched, I was able to scope it out. The shining white mass of a flock of about 40 pelicans definitely made the shoal a lot more visible. The pelicans weren't enthusiastic about my arrival, but they also didn't seem bothered. I had kind of hoped for better hospitality, but hey, it's their home. I guess they can do what they want. Pelicans can be very stubborn birds. Pennants are now available at cumberlandrover.com. Historically flown for signal purposes, a pennant is that indescribable something that your boat is missing. They can help you read the wind, increase visibility of your small craft, and they just look cool, fluttering from the masthead or yard of a lug sail. You can have any color you want, as long as it's bright red. I have 2 styles of pennant now available at cumberlandrover.com. just landed on the north end of this little shoal. It seems to be mostly sand, even leading up to it. None of that bad mud. And down on the south end, there's a big flock of pelicans. And they're just kind of hanging out and relaxing, so I'm going to try and give them plenty of space. Try not to get too close to them, but never know what pelicans are going to do. Sometimes they get spooked and sometimes they don't. It's interesting how the waves are making kind of an interwoven pattern as they break here on the north point of the shoal. And I'm standing in like 2 or 3 inches of water, and it looks like this continues for a good long ways. And that is that mellow ridge that runs along the Cumberland River channel, which is just over here to my right. A couple of John boats just came through, and they were not in the river channel. They were way over here on the flats, and I definitely ran into some very shallow areas over there. The oar felt the bottom a couple of times, and I think the oar even contacted some sunken timber or something under the water. It's a little eerie when that happens, when you feel something there with the oar. Honker Shoal may not be as interesting as the larger wooded islands with higher elevation. There really isn't much here besides sand, little shells, water, and pelicans. But I think there's a certain beauty in its sparseness. Despite being in sight of homes and cottages just across the river channel, I can't help but feel uniquely isolated out here, surrounded by water. That's about as close as I care to get to the pelicans. I don't really want to disturb them, but the wind is whipping up, and that means I've got power. Time to go sailing now, and on to the next island. It's a good ways down there, but I can see it. I can see it from this shoal. From Honker Shoal, I can just barely make out North Pelican Island in the distance, my next stop. With the north wind building, I'll soon be surfing over the flats, making my way down this cluster of Cumberland Islands just outside the natural riverbed. I just hope it doesn't build excessively, because this stretch of river is unfamiliar to me, and there's a lot to watch out for with the water being as low as it is. Stick around for the next episode of River Islands for some fun and exciting sailing. In fact, I may get more excitement than I bargained for. Pennants are now available at cumberlandrover.com. Historically flown for signal purposes, a pennant is that indescribable something that your boat is missing. They can help you read the wind, increase visibility of your small craft, and they just look cool, fluttering from the masthead or yard of a lug sail. You can have any color you want, as long as it's bright red. I have 2 styles of pennant now available at cumberlandrover.com.